Computer. Welcome, Chris Edmonds Radio. We are back, little Dave and I. I am fresh, jet lagged from California.
Right.
Actually slept till 6:30 a.m. this morning, so I was pretty proud of myself.
That's actually pretty solid. You're usually
Yeah,
way earlier than that.
1,000%. I'm only up like wide awake at 4 or sometimes 3:30. So, yeah. So had a good show weekend with Chris. Not again exactly what we wanted, with falling a little short on the overall, but at the end of the day, like as Dave, you and I were talking beforehand, like it just means back to work and more bodybuilding. Bigger back, bigger
Yep.
arms, same condition, same posing, same color. We run that back at North Americans, and I know in my heart like we'll make another viable run at it. So, this is the sport that we choose to do. It's a pageant of opinions, and all we can do is get better. And like that was kind of my takeaway this whole weekend is like you can be
Yep.
pissed off and depressed, or you can do something about it. And we're gonna choose to just say, fuck you. You want a bigger back, I'm gonna show it to you. And
Yep.
it's what you and I've battled individually, like as bodybuilders ourselves, right? Not good
Yep.
enough. All right, cool. I got it. Tell me where I'm fucking up. I'll fix it. And
Yep.
then we do that long enough, and the next thing you know, you actually have a physique that is winning shows consistently and gonna turn pro. So like
Well, I
that's
mean, that's just how it works, right? I mean, show number one, right? We went from show number one off season, worked our way into show number two. From show number one to show number two, we had a set of things what were weaknesses, what we needed to work on, and they got better, right? And then it wasn't perfect, but then from show two to show three, you do the same thing. You know, like for we've had a pretty good trend of me adding 15 pounds of muscle every season,
yep,
and you add enough of those competitive seasons up, like you become the guy who figures out why he lost and fixes it, and figures out why he lost and fixes it. You do that enough times, and there's nothing to fix.
correct.
As far as you can take that, I mean, like we're all have obviously like you got little like lifestyle things that are going to cap you off on stuff, but if you're competing and improving, honestly, let's say by number set competition number 8 season,
Yep,
you should be really fucking hard to beat.
agreed, agreed.
I
You
mean,
should be able to
that's
walk
that's
into
a
the yeah. Go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
that's a very big stretch of time too. I'm not talking shows. I'm talking competition, off season,
Yep.
full off season,
Yes.
competition prep, show, and repeat. You
Yep.
know, and if those get managed and you improve in between those ones, by number 8, you should be really fucking difficult to beat.
Agreed.
Some people might be number 3.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might be number 16 for you.
Yep.
You know, but that's where that lies. The consistently improving between the time stretch, because you're not going to improve in your 12-week prep.
No. No. No.
That's not what happens. Your prep is you're just taking your body fat off,
Yep.
and then the rest of the year you're adding muscle, other things, working on weaknesses. You can't really work on weaknesses in prep.
No. Not a bit. Nope. Unless
You
it's
run
like
out.
stomach control, posing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
about it. That's what you're
yeah,
gonna fix.
yeah. You're not going to grow. Like, I'm not going to show up with 24-inch arms during a prep.
Oh no.
It won't happen. My job is to maintain. Like the arms are the hardest part for me to put on. The first thing to want to leave me. So I just have to, you know, figure that out.
The key is 26-inch arms in the off season, so that they're 23 on stage. Right. But yes, I
Exactly.
mean, so that's the magic, right? And that leads into what our topic is consistency. Year after year, season after season, fixing things, leveling up, fixing things, leveling up. And when things fall out of balance, like let's say we have a great all season and your back gets so crazy big that it makes your shoulders look small, for example. All right, guess what?
Yep.
Time to fix your shoulders next year. Not a big
Yep.
deal. Um,
Yep.
but where I wanted to start this podcast was in terms of our topic was Dave, you posted a really badass story about Ronnie Coleman and consistency. So for all you that didn't see it, I'm just gonna get you to go over a quick recap of what you put on and why you did it.
So more or less, it was uh, one of the his name's Jim, and he is the guy who really pushed me into bodybuilding. Shit. I got a text message. My phone just vibrated off the table. And well, the one thing he pointed out, he's like, specifically, he was like, Ronnie Coleman was a freak of all freaks because he did the same. He did this for years.
Yep.
You know, yes, he had good genetics, but he got a game plan. He got a training program. He followed it. He got a meal plan. He followed it. Not just when he felt like it, every fucking day. You know, he was going to the gym, training legs, you know, eating his Outback Steakhouse, his cornbread and chicken, you know, his chicken with barbecue sauce, you know, day after day, year after year.
Yep.
You know, everybody else is like, you know, and he's just leveling up consistently. Everybody else is jumping between like the Milos protocol or the FST7, you know, all the little things,
Yeah.
and they're jumping back and forth, right?
Yep.
And you can't keep progressing. Like, yes, try new things,
Yeah.
but if you go from here to here, right, and you go back to here, but then back over here, how do you know it's bodybuilding? It takes time to know if it's working or not.
Right.
Like if you're gonna go into an off season and you spend 1 week at a surplus and you're like, fuck, this is a lot of food. So you're like, oh man, I'm soft as shit now. I'm gonna do a mini cut. And you take it back, it's like you're not even in a surplus now. It's like you go one step forward, one step back, just like this,
Mhm.
because you don't know where the consistency line is, you know? And it was just simple as that. Ronnie Coleman trained his face off. He ate what he was told to,
Yep.
and he worked his face off
Yep.
for 20 years.
Yep. Yeah. And I think what people don't grasp with that is just he was almost just took his brain out of the situation. Like,
Yeah.
I pay someone else to think. Brian Dobson gave me this workout. I'm gonna follow it because it works, right? And I remember being a young kid, and every time Flex magazine came out and we had a Ronnie Coleman workout, I'm like, oh, here we go again. I could tell you what his workout was. It was the same shit that he posted on the videos, the same shit he posted in the magazines, and it was like you said, it was consistent over and over. And the meals consistent over and over. And you guarantee he's going to be 2 hours of cardio on that treadmill with a belly band on, right?
Yep.
You could just
100%.
tell. And I will touch on a point that you said about like off seasons and mini cuts and things like that, because that's something you mentioned, I think, to me when we were North Americans or maybe we were at Swiss, and you're like, man, I thought I was starting to get a little fat and out of shape. And you're like, no, keep riding this wave. And then you're like, well, we're peeled, so it was the right move.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you could easily look at me and be like, Chris, like, it's time. Let me pull some of this fat off. Like, give me a lot more cardio, pull my carbs and fat back. And I could have been like, okay, fine, fuck it, let's just go. But I knew in my heart, like, we needed to keep pushing like your food set point. And it's something that's a little too technical, right? Honestly, at the end of the day, I wanted your food high. That's that's
Yeah.
that's, that's what I needed, and that's what I
Yeah.
wanted. And I knew that if we could keep riding your food high as long as humanly possible, coupling that with your training style and intensity, like that weight was gonna fucking stick. And even though it may not have say like looked as pretty in your update photos, the amount of tissue you were able to put on this deep into your amateur, like upper level amateur career is impressive as shit, I mean, there's beginners not making with the progress you made between USAs and North Americans. So,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where we could have gotten cute. And I think a lot of times when people start doing that and overthinking and overanalyzing, they forget that bodybuilding is pretty fucking simple. It's eating a surplus and train your dick off. And then if you want to, and then when you get into shape, guess what? We get to a point where you're eventually starving and you're still training your dick off. Like,
Yep.
it's as simple as that.
And then
And
you're just managing fatigue at that point, you know? And
100%. And that's why it's so easy to like hang out and stay with you, because our schedules align, because we're the exact same. It's just consistent.
yep.
Where if I'm with someone who is not, it actually like gets under my skin. Like, you wouldn't believe it. Hold on, what do you mean you don't eat at the same meal times, and you don't necessarily care when you train, and you don't really know where your grocery shopping is coming from? Like, all of those
Oh,
things.
it drives me wild too. But it's
Yep.
just like, well, how are you supposed to like measure? Well, it's comical to me because like I've gotten to points where food's so high that if I wake up at 7 instead of 6:30, it fucks up my whole day.
Yeah, you need that 30 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, but it needed to happen. You
Mhm.
know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's an extra 5 minutes between each meal. And
Right.
that's how detailed it gets. And it's like, how do you eat so much food? It's like, because I'm not fucking around.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's 7, I'm having food. It's 10, I'm having food. It's 1, I'm eating. It's not just like, oh, I ate meal 1 and well, I'm hungry now and it's now noon. I'm gonna have meal 2. It's like,
Yeah.
well, and then it's like, oh man, I can't eat a lot because all my meals, because now 3, 4, 5, and 6 are looming,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's 4 p.m. You've eaten twice. And it's
Yep.
like, well, I guess I might as well have a cheap meal instead.
Yeah.
It's
Just gotta
like,
make those calories up.
yeah, good job. Now you're just eating like everybody else. You know what I mean?
Well, here's interesting. I actually had to have a conversation with one of my guys yesterday about this. He complains to me every week about not having being able to eat. I'm stuffed, blah blah. And if I'm being brutally honest, the level of food is laughable. Like it's
Yeah,
not high. Like
yeah,
I believe I could probably eat all 6 of those meals by noon if I wanted to, with
yeah,
ease. And I was like, man, like when are you going to decide to grow? Like you always bitch about being small. You just have to decide you want to be bigger. And that starts with here in the not accepting those meals beating you, right? Like I think I may have said this to you before. When my appetite sucked, I used to look at that food like a work set. Listen here, motherfucker. I have 6 work sets in a day. I'm not gonna walk out of the gym of a hack squat or a leg press or a chest press. Why in the fuck am I gonna walk away from that plate? Why am I gonna let it beat me? I'm gonna get a fucking spoon and shovel it in until it's done. If it takes me an hour, it takes me an hour. Like,
yeah. Well,
and
it's exact. People need to look at it that way. Honestly,
yeah,
it's what it is. It's like see it way too often. It's like, oh, I couldn't eat a meal. It's like you couldn't. Like this thing weighs like you know. Okay, cool. You got 2 pounds of food, right?
yep,
That's a good meal. Like that's a lot of food.
yeah,
It's you know break that down to 100 bites. Like Jesus, like you sit there and you finish it, you're
right.
not going to explode.
No, no,
And it's just like it's you don't need to change all these things like make all let's do that. But then it's always comical to me. The opposite happens. They go on a diet and they're like, hey, I'm fucking hungry.
oh yeah,
It's like Jesus fuck, like pick one.
right.
Like you know what I mean? It's just like you can't expect to be comfortable and have a change. Have you ever gone to the gym and done bicep curls to where you're comfortable and put it down?
Right.
I don't think I've done that in my life.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like that set's it's gonna start sucking at rep number 5. Like your arm is gonna be screaming,
right.
right? And that doesn't mean you're even close to anything. Like I'm probably gonna get like 24 reps here. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And like it's like cool if you do that, if you think of food the same way, like cool, you want to grow. If the same thing as a set, like
Yep.
it's probably not going to be comfortable. You know, I'm not saying it has to be burning like a bicep curl, but like there's going to be a point where your body's gonna be like, we're good, and you're gonna have to say, fuck you. I'm having more because I want to be bigger,
Yep.
or I'm having less because I want to be leaner. It's the that it just goes whoop.
I've always thought about like this too, right? Like, those guys who are almost paralyzed by their fear to train legs, like, oh God, it's gonna be so hard. And they start
Yeah,
like they almost emotionally wreck themselves before they've even done a damn set. Now listen, you and I both get some anxiety before hard sets. I'm not gonna try to say that we don't,
yeah,
but very similar with food. If I sit down to say 8 ounces of steak, 10 ounces of potato, 50 grams of cream of rice, and 100 grams of an apple, which I would consider like a standard off-season meal for either you or I,
hmm,
and you're already going into like fuck, like this is going to be so hard, or
yep,
oh my god, like, I don't know if I'm going to eat all this, as opposed to it's 6 o'clock, it's meal 5, it's getting in my fucking mouth one way or the other. I
yeah,
don't care how much I have to chew, how much water I have to drink, or how much flavor getting sauce I have to put on this shit. It's going in my fucking mouth, and I've already made a decision. Like that's something I've talked to you about, right? Like
yeah.
when
It's not even an option. It's
no,
just it doesn't even cross your mind. It's like the same thing as like if you told me to do leg extensions to failure, right?
yep,
It's gonna happen. I'm not gonna do 5 and be like, you
yeah,
know what I mean? It's the same thing with that meal. It's just like, it's written down. You don't even need to think about it. Just put it in the bowl, get it in your body.
Right.
Letting yourself have that quit mentality, like good enough, is the reason why you're not progressing.
Yes. Yep.
Like, oh, that was good enough. It's like you say that after, like, if you say that in training, like, legitimately, like, you're going to be questioning at the end of the day, what if?
Right.
And it's the
Yep.
same thing with your meal. Like, cool, I didn't finish my cup of rice. What if I did? And that's going to hurt so fucking bad when you're on stage and you're in second call outs and you're wondering to yourself, like, what if I actually ate my food off in the off season? You know, what if I didn't miss those sets on hack squats where I definitely like gave up early, not where like, you know,
Yep.
it's all it is.
You know, I think I have two thoughts on that, right? Like, and I say this religiously: consistency and confidence comes from doing, right?
Yeah.
The more I can learn that acquired skill of eating a lot of food, eating it fast, and eating it regular, is very similar to me the way I post when people say, "How do you grow your hamstrings?" I'm like, "Learn how to do the stack." What do you mean? Like, learn how to do it. Fucking find a way to that stack for 8 to 12 reps, and
Yeah.
then get a gym pin and start piling plates on that bitch. Like, a meal is no meals or meal plans or whatever. Let's say you're trying to graduate to, let's say you're at 6 ounces of meat and you want to get to 7. Day one is going to be harder than day 100, and day 100 is going to be way easier than day one was, and then day 300 is going to be easier than day 100. Like,
Yep.
the more you do it, the more almost numb you are to it. Like, I think the first time we ever got you hard as hell in shape, it was probably harder than the last time, in terms of like,
Yep.
you knew what to expect, you knew what you're going to feel like, you knew what, when you sat down, your ass was going to hurt, or your feet were going to hurt, or what it's going to feel like when you went and trained your final leg session. Like,
Yeah.
there's a reason, like, you and I don't bitch and moan about this shit anymore. It's because, like, man, we've rode this ride, like, we've been here. Like,
Yeah.
there's definitely struggles, and I'm not saying there aren't times that are, you're like, man, I can feel it today, but as a whole, like, if we didn't feel it, wouldn't we start to panic? Like, oh fuck,
Yeah.
like, am I in shape? Like, what do my glutes look like? Let me turn around.
Yeah.
So
It's like that gets me too. Like back to social media, it's so funny because like I suck at posting shit because like I see it and I just think it's like comical sometimes. Like people will be like, "Oh, I'm doing cardio." It's like, aren't you supposed to? Like, isn't what session of cardio is that? Like I've been doing 4 to 7 sessions of cardio session since 2017 at least.
yep.
When I with you like actually like with a plan, and years before that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't really an option. It was like it just happens. So it's like, why the fuck would I be told like this is new and exciting? You know what I mean? Like, well, kind of. I mean, like novel. I mean, like, but this is probably my you know 8,000th cardio session. Like,
Right.
it's happened a lot.
Yeah.
It's not. So it's like almost like if I walked up the stairs, I took a photo like, hey, I walked up the stairs of my house. Good fucking job. It's like, don't you have to do that? Like, that's how I see some things. It's like, well, getting in shape. It's like you're not complaining about it. It's like, well, I kind of have to do these things. Like I told Chris, I want to not have body fat on me.
Right.
Like these things come with it. Like why the fuck would I complain about that?
Yeah, 1,000%. Right. You know, I can say this, right. When I was backstage at Masters USA, so I kind of, I always like take the situation in, and I was looking around and I'm like, how many people like look in the mirror and there's like, fuck, like, where did I go? Where did this train start to get derailed? Like, I'm in a national level show and I am 10 to 12 weeks out, like, legit conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Or are they just so delusional that they believe like this is it? And then, it's challenging to me to not look in the mirror and be like, man, like, I need to overhaul some things. Or
Yeah.
whoever I'm working with as a coach is full of absolute shit and doesn't know what they're doing. It's one of those two things. I'm either
Yeah.
compliant and the plan sucks, or the plan's good and I'm stuck at compliance. Like, that's kind
Yeah.
of how I've always looked at it. Like, and there's a definite difference between like someone missing a peak and someone who has like visible body fat.
Well, it also comes down to there's always some fun things. Like what I've noticed is like every single coach you have, they have the clients what follow the plan to the T, and they make progress, right?
Yes.
And then you have the clients that follow the plan to 70 to for 40% of the plan, and they do okay,
Right.
right? Like things are heading in the right direction, but they could be better.
Yeah.
And then you got the people who follow the plan like 15% of the time,
Yeah.
but they claim 100%.
Yes.
All of these people claim 100%.
Oh yeah.
That's also the baseline statement here.
Yes.
But the people who are claiming 50, who are doing 15% of the plan and claiming 100, they're looking up at the people doing 100%. They're like, why am I not making progress like this guy?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's pretty fucking evident, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you ate meat and rice. You didn't measure that at all
No.
versus like 225 grams of chicken, 250 grams of rice, 8 grams of olive oil, versus like fucking eyeball
Yep.
or fucking Chipotle.
Yep. 1,000%.
Oh, I had Chipotle. This was my meal five. It was chicken and rice, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got extra rice because like my plan says 2 cups. You know, and
I'll tell you a
cool.
funny
Like,
story. I met a guy at backstage that follows you and I on Instagram, and he said, "Man, like, how do you guys make so much progress? Like, I need to know this." And I said, "All right." I was like, I can't remember the last time either him or I have missed a meal off plan. I cannot remember it. And then I said, "Do you have your phone on you?" I was like, "Pull up YouTube." And I searched that leg video of you and I, and I
yeah,
said, "And then you need to make every work set look like this. That's the secret." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Tonight when you get home or tomorrow when you're doing cardio," I was like, "Watch this video. Every set that you count as work needs to look like those, and
hmm
then you just don't miss a meal with whatever your coach says."
yeah,
And he's like, the look of just dumbfoundedness, like I'm sure he expected me to say some elaborate drug protocol or, oh, well, we just both started running fucking 40 units of insulin, 3 days a week. And I don't think that like that thought process. I mean, he had a decently developed physique, but
yeah,
so much more room like to grow, right?
yeah,
And he came back to me and he was like, "Really, man?" And I was like, "I swear to you, it's that fucking simple. Like until you learn to take every one of those sets to the end, and then you just don't accept going to bed until every gram of food's done." I was
yeah,
like, until you do those two things, I don't want to hear a fucking word about how can I level up to that rate.
yeah,
And it's like what you said, like there's no secret fucking protocol. I know we joke around about that fucking Rice Krispie treat secret sauce stuff, but
yeah,
like at the end of the day, like you could go on stage without that and look just as good. Because how many fucking photos do I have on my phone of you in our hotel or Airbnb or in the gym
yeah,
and you look just as wacky, right? Like
hmm
it's because all the work was done in the off season and the off season before that, and all prep long you refuse to let off the brakes in
yep,
terms of putting a governor on yourself, like and saying,
yep,
"Oh, well, it's 3 weeks out, I should get weak now. Oh, it's 6 weeks out, I can still fucking I don't know, fill in the blank, but people fucking cheat on. Oh, I can still have a donut with my girlfriend on Sunday nights. No, fuck you. No, there's no donut
yeah,
on them. You don't eat them. Like,
no,
and I think all those people want some secret answer. And it's the title of this podcast. It's brutal consistency, and it's not sexy. And it's not
no,
like, here's what I think people struggle with consistency doesn't care if it's your birthday or
no.
Christmas or Thanksgiving or New Year's or if your fucking mom dies. Like, I ate chicken and rice before I went in the car with Angela before I put my mom on the ground. I was in
Dude,
a
I drank my meal. I blended and drank my meal at my grandpa's funeral.
yep,
I had a shaker cup with chicken and rice blended in it.
yep, yep,
Like, dude, I go to concerts or whatever.
yep,
I'm bringing chicken and rice with me, and it's hilarious because I'll be out there and be like, "Where did people are like? Oh man, you're hardcore. You do that." It's like, dude, have you seen the food they have here? First off, like, am I gonna fucking starve?
right,
Or like, it blows my mind too because like, I know plenty of people in the fitness industry. They'll go out for the night and they just wing the shit out of it in the off season, and it's like, what are you even eating?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you just not eating?
yeah,
Like, like you just decided to fast?
yeah,
Cool. I mean, there's a time and place for that, but
correct.
like, you just miss 2 meals for like fun,
Right.
you
And
know?
they
Like,
don't blink at it. And you know what the sad thing is they forget so quickly. They have that short-term memory and they'll blame something for why they aren't progressing.
yeah,
It's because my drugs are fake. Oh, it's because my girlfriend broke up with me. No, fuck you. It's because you missed 3 meals every Friday night. Like,
yeah.
because you were at the club or fill in the blank, like at a football game. Like, the amount of places I've snuck food into with Angel's purse in my pants, like, is laughable.
Yeah.
You just, or how many times you eat cold food in the car, or as we talked about, like I ate 6 fucking meals cold yesterday because I left at 4:40 and didn't get home till 7:20.
It just is what it is.
The
Like,
judges don't care if I had to travel from California to Virginia on a whole day on Sunday. They or Monday. They didn't. They don't care. The next time I get on stage, they're not gonna be like, oh, you know what, Chris, it's okay. You had a hard travel week. Oh, fuck
yeah,
off. Did you eat your meals?
no,
Yes or no? Are you in shape? Yes or no? Are you big enough? Yes or no? Like,
yeah,
it's black and white. And the sooner people come to terms with that, the faster they're going to level up and get
yeah,
results that, like, I think a lot of times too, like, people don't comprehend when you say you've added 15 pounds of stage tissue, they don't understand it because they think, oh, he added 15 pounds on the scale. No, you added 15 packs of ground beef to your fucking body. Like, that is that's fucking crazy progress to do
hmm,
consistently over and over and over and over. Like, not
yep,
once, not twice, not 3 times, but multiple times that are still doing it.
yeah,
So, I think this is going to segue us into, this is Thanksgiving week. And as you and I have talked at like at ends over the years, Thanksgiving, if you're not in prep, enjoy it.
yep,
And that could be however you want to enjoy it. Some people that's staying on plan, some people that's having 1 or 2 meals, and some people that's eating with reckless abandon all day long. Okay.
yep,
And as you and I were joking beforehand, I believe in my heart if on Thursday morning you woke up and said, I'm gonna eat like a dick bag from all day, I can recover you from one day.
yep,
But the problem is most people start eating bullshit on Wednesday and it doesn't stop until Sunday night.
yep.
And
Or
then,
even worse,
yeah,
it goes from Wednesday before Thanksgiving to the January 1st.
yeah, oh, yes,
Yep.
yes,
I can't tell you how many times I've seen that. It's like, oh, cool. I'm gonna eat like, okay, cool. I'm just gonna eat a couple things here and there, and it's like the entire stretch, that entire month and some change. You're adding an extra 3 cookies a day to your diet.
yep,
It's like, what you really questioning on how you got fat here?
right.
Like, well, it's consistency. You were consistently eating like shit.
Right.
That Thanksgiving is the one day of year. It's like one one day out of 365 is not going to change much, if all any,
No,
right?
no,
It's that, you know, 40 out of 365, it's a much bigger number,
yes, yeah.
you know.
And I think people don't look at that percentage wise, like they don't tangibly look at that 6 meals versus what the fuck. I don't even know how many meals I did. I don't have a calculator in front of me to do that math, but
Yeah.
it, that is where the magic is, right? Not a singular day, because I think so many people, like, if that eases your mind to eat 1 or 2 free meals with your family and it allows you to like take a deep breath and then as long as you get right back to it,
Yeah.
all the progress in the world can be made. Because I mean, at the end of the day, like, you and I, even if we're going to sit down and have a meal with our family, we're not just going to go like smash. Like, if we're going to have turkey, it's like, or Thanksgiving, it's we're going to eat lean meat or some kind of meat is going to be the
And
base of all of our meals.
and then carbs, and then everything just has fat in it. Like,
Right,
it's like, they're honestly, like, I kid you not, like Thanksgiving, like I'm most likely I'm gonna get at least 8 to 10 ounces of turkey, and then I'm gonna fill it with some bullshit.
right,
And it's just gonna be like, you know what? Honestly, like, depends on how I eat. Like, if I go moderately okay, chances are I'm eating less than I'm eating for a meal already.
right,
If I'm not eating like a complete asshole, like,
right.
once I get my protein goal, like if I just throw like an actual serving size of shit I want on the plate,
Yeah.
like it's probably going to be pretty similar to what I'm eating anyways. Like,
Agree.
yes, if I eat an entire pecan pie because I feel like it, it's a little bit different of a story. But it's the same thing. It drives me up a wall when people freak out about like, oh man, I'm gonna change so drastically from Thanksgiving, but every week before that they have a cheat meal,
Right.
and it's
Oh yeah.
like,
Same shit.
just like, right, just like really, like it's all you're doing.
Yeah. And our neurotic ass is going to take glucose disposal aids before the
Yeah,
meal, anyways.
yeah, for
And then
true.
9 times out of 10, we're going to do cardio in the morning, and we're going to weight train at some point, if not Thursday, for sure Wednesday and Friday. Like,
Yeah,
so you're going to push those nutrients around. And like I said, as long as you're not in prep for nationals, who gives a fuck? It's
yeah,
one day. Like, take a deep breath, have it, move on. But at the same time, like, if it makes you happy to fucking eat out of Tupperware, do it.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's your choice, it's your life. Like, and move on. But what we don't want to do is sabotage the week, month, 6 weeks between, essentially Wednesday before Thanksgiving through Black Friday into Christmas and New Year's. And the next thing you know, you missed a chunk of the year, and you're like, oh man, well, I only added 1 pound of weight, stage weight, and it was harder for me to get in shape this year. Oh, I wonder why.
yeah,
You lost an entire month and a half of progress or work, or, you know, I think what I always worry about too is like when I get out of rhythm, my digestion gets messed up. And then
yep,
it goes back to all the stuff we talked about earlier about if you get out of the habit of eating those 6 large fucking meals, it's hard to get back to it, you know, because what you remember, like, oh man, well, that my meal one used to be 3 whole eggs, 6 ounces of chicken, 100 grams of bola gains, orange juice, and a fucking banana. And the idea of eating that now would be, it's like, oh fuck, we're used to just plow through that and didn't think twice about it. And it's just I think I talk about that a lot, right? Is like rhythm, like staying in rhythm.
yep,
And it doesn't matter what season it is, but like and I've said this 100 times at this point, that's why I believe you're so successful, is you go from prep to having a free meal or two right into off season. And you keep that momentum and rhythm going. Isn't
mhm,
like prep ends, you eat like a fucking dick bag for 6 to 20 days, and then we have to refine that rhythm again in the next 3 months to get you growing,
yep,
like, which is why I always say that post-show rebound. I know a lot of like these new influencers shit on, like, they saying there is no such thing as a rebound. Oh, there's a rebound. If
no, one
and,
hundred percent.
and if you manage it right, and as I've said to you before, like, I feel like I'm really fucking good at coaching people who follow the plan for rebounds.
Yeah, yeah, without a
And
doubt.
it's because I know how to, like, when to throw food in, when to pull it back. Hey, your off day needs to be low, stay low, so we can ramp your fucking medium days, and then we're gonna take your high days through the damn roof. Like, and then you keep your cardio in, and you gotta like taper on and off supplements. Like, so many people don't know. I think had like they've never truly had enough people who follow the plan to be able to work through a lot of that trial and error to figure that formula out, so to speak. But once you do, and you become master at reading people's body and digestive system, and as long as you can
Mhm.
keep their mind in it, like, meaning focus on the plan at hand and not just like being reckless abandon with everything in life,
Yeah,
you can grow like a fucking weed and stay in that rhythm. And then it's like, oh, it goes from rebound to health phase to off season. And the next thing you know, we're back to stage time again.
yep.
And like,
And it's the best part about that whole scenario is like so many people start prep at a clusterfuck.
right.
They're eating 4 to 6 meals a day. When I say 4 to 6, it varies.
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
Yep.
calories are all over the place.
Yep.
Cheat meal frequently.
Yep.
Um, and then they go to a structured diet and they lose their fucking minds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like they've been dieting for 4 weeks and they're like, oh, this fucking sucks. Like, really? Like, you're not even in the thick of things.
No.
And it's like you're just setting yourself worse because like it's like, all right, cool. Now we have your base calories. What's it's like what I don't even know where you're supposed to be because like, you haven't been. There's nothing to go off of.
Right.
You've been following this plan. Like
Yep.
it's like, oh cool. Let's actually see what happens if you follow it. And like that will work. But it's like you probably missed 4 weeks worth of. 4 weeks is a pretty big deal in a 20 week, 12 week prep. So
I think if most people saw like your full blown all season to week one of prep, they would laugh, right? She's like, "Oh, what did you do, Chris?" I was like, "I don't know. I pulled like 50 or 60 grams of carbs on a training day and pulled 10 to 15 grams of fat on an off day, and I added 5 minutes of cardio, and
Yep.
you lost 8 pounds."
Yeah. I think my favorite thing is obviously this works
Yeah,
because what's take I know you have these notes because I have them,
yeah, yeah.
but what was my start weight for when we did USAs?
Mhm.
We started from I yes, reconcile I was thick. I got sick as a dog, but
Right.
I started prep at 199.
Yeah,
I weighed in on stage at 197,
yeah. Right. Yeah.
you know, and we did the same ish thing for North Americans. Like
Yep.
I think I started prep at 223
Yeah.
and I finished prep well weigh-ins I was 211,
Yes.
with like 3 meals in me.
Yeah.
I think I was floating around, a little like 205, 207, right?
Yep.
So like versus like the guy who starts prep, he's like, "Oh, I'm 260," and he cuts down to he's like, like, how the hell did you go from 260 to 205?
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
like it
Agree.
just shows like obviously this is work that this plan of action works.
Yeah.
If the you don't live to lose a small child's worth of body fat.
Right.
You know,
Here's what's really interesting. I'd gotten my scale weight up like like, for me, aggressive was like I was like 252.8 after a free like that Chick-fil-A meal, right? So on a Saturday
yeah,
morning, that was the highest I was consistently seeing through the course of the week. It was more like around the lines of like 248-ish in the morning fasted, right? And
yeah,
then when I saw you at Swiss, that was 233 fasted. So
yeah,
not that much difference in terms of weight, but the
yep,
look was 100 times different.
yep,
And I think people like can't wrap their mind around that because they're like, oh, like that's not that big of a weight drop. Like that's not even 20 pounds. Like, no, 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 but it looks way fucking different
mhm,
because you do all the things right. Like all I did was simply remove a cheat meal and just slowly start pulling my base day food and off day food down. And then while I was simultaneously doing that, I was taking my off day or high day food and going north with it.
yep,
And it was kind of working like inverse, where I would lose like a pound or two a week and then I'd gain a pound or two a week. And it was very cool to watch. And again, it's very similar to what I do with you because it works.
yep,
And it's like, oh, we're going to pull your body fat down until you're running so hot that we have to add high days in. And then once we add your high days in, it just goes on based upon how much your skill might drop or how flat you may look or how your performance may be.
yep,
And as long as I manage those three variables, things tend to work well.
yep,
So,
exactly. Because
uh,
it's so many variables to play with prep, and it's like so many people just static cardio and lower food. Like that's it. But they think that's the only cards you can play. They're
right.
like increase drugs, all the cardio, no food. And it's
Yes.
like, oh, cool. Well, good luck.
Right.
Um, I would love to stand next to you and continue eating my Rice Krispie treats throughout my prep and be leaner than you.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
good job unnecessarily suffering. Like, I'm
Right.
not saying it's not going to have to get low, but like,
Yeah.
you know,
If people saw what I fed you the last week to 2 weeks leading into North America, they'd be like, what the fuck? Like
yeah,
it I mean, it was because the work was done.
yeah. We got ready and it was just like pull back, get rid of stress, you know.
Slowly
So
lower cardio,
yeah,
slowly just add food back and see how your body responds and just take it like literally meal by meal at the end when I was with you. And it
yeah,
was like, in my mind, I kept thinking, oh, well, eventually I'm gonna have to like pull some food back a touch. And then the more I fed you, the more you just got better. Like the skin got tighter, the muscle got fuller, you got rounder, the shape really popped. And it's because we had no set plan. I didn't wake up one day and say, hey, Dave, here's meals 1 through 6, and here's how much cardio I want to do. No, I was
yep,
like, yeah, you don't need cardio today. Cool. And here, let's do meal one of this. How's that sound? You're like, yeah, I think I like sourdough bread over that. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's do 2 slices of sourdough bread. Awesome. It's simple as that. Like,
yep,
and it's because you've consistently reported all your notes to me, all off season, all pre-contest. And when we got in person, you're in front of me, and everything you reported was what actually happened in real life.
Yep.
Shocker.
Right. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so I was able to read your body even better because I didn't have to deal with, oh, is the lighting different? Or, oh, is the lighting in his apartment suck dick? Like, no, we're going to find the good light in this place. We're going to look at you. Cool. All right, let's go get a pump. Let's get a pump. Let's look at you in the lighting there. Good. Let's eat a meal. Let's take a look at you in a good light. Like, and you just repeat that process. And the next thing you know, like, I know what to look for in your body. Like, oh, okay, awesome. His left lat's up in his fucking armpit. Let's go sit on the couch and do some massage. Awesome. It's down now. Let's get back to posing. Like, it all stems from, if as long as you do the work and I read the work, it's apparent. It's like it's the plan writes its fucking self.
It's pretty much just that.
Yeah.
And it's exactly that. It's going to be so much harder for your coach or you to read the plan if you don't follow it.
Yeah, right.
Like it's like cool. It's like you're like, it's all right, cool. Add 50 grams of carbs from rice to meals 2, 3. You're like, I'm gonna have 50 grams of carbs from Pop Tarts.
Correct.
It's like, did you follow the plan? That's not what the fucking plan said.
No, right.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like, oh, I did it. And it's like, no, you didn't.
Like, hold on. So, and I think what people don't realize too, right, is let's say you use that exact same scenario. I'm sitting there thinking you ate a cup and a half of rice, or let's say 225 grams of rice. And in real life, you ate 2 Pop-Tarts. And then you send me your photos, and I'm like, man, like, you ate 56 grams of carbs, and that's what it did to your body. Like, it makes me start to guess, like, okay, well, that sucks, because next time I'm gonna have to feed you even less because it didn't work. Like, you regressed. So then
Yeah.
it's like, oh, awesome. So the next time I carb you up, I'm going to give you 150 grams of rice, and you get to only eat. When we know, like, logically, you'd think, oh, well, I only get to eat 1 Pop-Tart, Chris. But no, those motherfuckers double down and say, I'm going to eat 3 Pop-Tarts.
Yep.
And then it's like, well, man, your body doesn't respond to carbs like I thought. Huh. All right, I'm going to have to do something else. Let's give you more. Let's give you less food. And it's
Yep.
like, oh, it's a chronic cycle of like, okay, you don't follow, and then I overanalyze, and then we just come to a not common ground.
Yep. And then you're like, yep, exactly.
Right. Because I know in my heart, right, if I say to you, I want 50 gram of bowl of gains from chocolate brownie, that's what I'm getting. The only reason that might change is if you're like, Chris, Ross didn't ship me my stuff. I have crackberry and I have rice and grinds. All right, cool. Let's do this instead. Done.
Yep.
Or only have rice at work. Okay, that's cool. Only have rice cakes. All right, not a big deal. Let's do 7 of them. I don't care. Okay, cool. Done.
Yeah.
The simple.
Very true.
And you'll tell me, like, you won't just like make that modification. You're like, hey, Chris, like, I ran out of steak. All right, not a big deal. Do steak and olive oil, or chicken and olive oil, or do
Yep.
salmon, or fill the blank. Like,
Yep.
it's pretty simple.
Yeah. And it's just like all of that comes back to me following the plan in the off season. Right? The entire prep is not just based on those 12 weeks of just, if this was a 12-week sport, right? It'd be a whole different thing. Everybody, it is not a 12-week sport.
No.
The other weeks of the year, they all matter. What I do today in the off season affects what happens in prep.
Yep.
If this off season is shit, my prep is going to be a fucking nightmare.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And the same thing goes, like, if you have a good prep, lead into a good rebound, which leads into a good off season, which leads into another good prep.
Right.
And it's just those accumulating things
Yeah.
versus like, we all want to, I mean, not that they might cross our minds, but I don't want to.
Right.
But post show, it's like, it would be nice to eat shit. It would be nice to just do whatever the fuck I wanted to do.
Right.
But in all reality, my goal is to improve. So that cuts that off for me.
Yep.
But, it's one of those things, like, you can't just expect to take 6 weeks off bodybuilding and it not affect you.
Yep.
It's just like if you were driving a car and you decided to stop at the gas station. Like, you can stop at the gas station, or you can stop at the gas station and just set your car on fire.
Yeah.
That destination is going to take forever to get to now.
Right.
Like, that's your choice.
Here's something I always think about. Those guys who get too fat in the off season and then they actually get in shape for a show. Like they get it all off. But what I've always found with that group is they have to suffer so much that it forces them to be food focused. So then post show, they're so food focused that they just want to eat everything. And then guess what that does? That sets them up into another fat off season, which
Yep.
leads into another grueling prep. And it's this cycle of starve, starve, starve. Because listen, they're hardcore bodybuilders. They know what it takes to get in shape. But then on the flip side of that, they're like, I don't understand why I want to eat all the Reese's cups post show every day and eat ice cream and sit on the couch and binge watch fucking Netflix and eat ice cream until I can't stand up. And they're like, oh God, I got fat again. Okay, now it's time to diet. Oh, okay, now I'm gonna get all that fat off. And then now I'm just so obsessed with food because I had to suffer so much. So you know what I'm saying? Like I don't think they realize that if they look at it as the macro version, like, hey, like, what if we kept tighter in the off season and didn't have to go quite as hard at the end? I could give you more high days, or I keep your food higher for longer. Like, because at the end of the day, like, it's only the last 6 weeks that are probably hard for you in terms of like being hungry, not
Yeah.
satiated. So 6 weeks, you can do anything for 42 days, right?
Yeah.
And you and I both know at those last 6 weeks, I'm usually giving you a high food day at least every 3 to 4 days,
Yep.
maybe less. Maybe I have to string it to 5 or 6, or if we really want to push condition, get you ahead. But for the most part, at least one out of those 7 days is going to be relatively high. And
Yeah.
a lot of times it might even be back to back. So then it's like, oh, we'll only have to suffer or be really hungry 5 out of 7 days. Yeah, okay. That suddenly becomes a lot more manageable than zero carbs for fucking 10 weeks straight.
Yeah.
Like, so I think like that's a great place to stop it, right? Is at the
Mhm.
end of the day, if you're consistently all season, your preps are consistent, you give your coach consistent feedback, he can build you a solid ass fucking plan, even if he's a fucking moron,
Yeah.
and then you'll still do well. But it stems from just when you wake up in the morning, and this is what I believe in my heart. You wake up in the morning, you decide who you're going to be that day, right? Am I going to be a shitty dad? Yes or no? Am I going to be a bad husband? Yes or no? Am I going to be a good worker, meaning in terms of working for my clients? Yes. At the end of the day, am I going to be a good fucking bodybuilder? I have 6 meals and one workout and one cardio session. Do I check it or not? Like, I've said it until I'm blue in the face. You don't have to be athletic to do bodybuilding. You just have to be compliant.
Yep. Yep.
It isn't like football. We aren't throwing passes and catching balls, or basketball where you have to shoot, or in golf you have to hit the ball in the fucking hole. Like, did you eat your meals? Yes or no? Did you train hard? Yes or no? All right, cool. Did you do your cardio every second of cardio? Yes or no? It's literally checking boxes.
Yep.
And who can endure that pain the longest? Because
Yep.
literally it's Groundhog Day, and you
Yep.
just have
And
to.
actually checking boxes.
Yes, yeah, right. Yes,
But
because not all work sets are created equal, as you and
yeah.
I both
Yeah.
know.
Not all meals are the same. Chipotle is not the same thing as measured chicken and rice.
Yes,
And cardio is not cardio if you're just if you can hold a conversation or read a fucking book while you're doing cardio, you're just fucking around.
agreed, agreed. Yeah, like, I think that's another thing that should probably do a podcast on in general, which is like intent, like your intent
Yeah.
with everything that you do. What intent do you have? Because there's varying levels of intent of training, nutrition, and cardio.
Yep. Yeah. That is the beyond the check mark, the intently done it. Like it you can't just it's not relate this to school sometimes. Like if you go to school and you show up and through high school, you get a check mark just showing up.
Yeah,
You can pass college classes just by showing up and taking tests.
correct.
You know, the thing with bodybuilding is you can't just show up. If I show up to the gym and I don't bust my ass, it downstream trickles affect everything. I
Yep.
don't work hard in the gym. My food doesn't absorb into my body as well. My cardio sessions don't go as well. I'm not burning fat at a proper rate.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's just like those things have to be done, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if you just show up, your body's gonna just stay the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty soft. It's pretty easy concept. Like it's really easy. Like if you really are questioning if you are following your plan or not, legitimately take your plan, do a personal inventory of like, I've got 6 meals, I've got a cardio session through these days, and I've got these training sessions.
Yep.
Am I putting every ounce of my power into these things? And where am I falling short?
Yep.
Like, do that right now with any of your plans. Like, your coach gives you a document that should go through your head instead of just showing up. You know, is that meal exactly how it is on the plan? Yes or no?
Right.
Did I do my cardio? And did I do it to a point where I am capable of knowing that was done correctly?
Right. Yep.
And then training sessions is like, if that said get 10 reps, did I stop at 8? Did I stop at 10 if I had 12?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just like, it's that simple. But so many will just they'll get their plan and they'll make their little adjustments to it to fit their life.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden that plan turns into little adjustments what don't fucking do anything for you.
Correct. Yeah. Agreed. And I mean, to kind of piggyback off what you said, like anytime someone that says they struggle with appetite with me, my first thing I think about is they don't train hard enough. Because I know that if I go in there and brutalize myself, I want to tear the rest of my food apart the rest of the day.
Yep.
And then on the flip side of that, if I get up, do my fasted cardio, and I really get after it, man, I'm ready for meal one.
Oh
So
yeah.
like I'm ready to get home and eat that thing. Like, and I think not many people look at that, which is why I used to always joke like hard training is the best GDA on the planet. Like, but
Well, it really is. How many times I've been at 65 after meal 5? I'm just like, it's like 9:30 at night, and I'm just like, oh yeah, cool.
right,
Like my blood glucose is at 65.
yep,
That's not that wasn't from insulin. Like that's full on like health phase right now.
right,
And it's like, oh, that was training.
yes, yeah, yeah. Oh, hold on, you train hard when you're just on a fucking HRT? What the fuck? You're supposed to be take it easy. Come on. Oh, I just had to have a conversation with one of my guys today about that. Like, hey, just because you pull your fucking drugs back doesn't mean that you let off the damn gas. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
It's actually funny how I've always put this is I actually talked to Eddie about this, but like I will just train and firmly believe that all of my drugs are fake.
correct.
And I will train the same way no matter what.
Yep.
And if they're real, great. If
Right.
they're fake, it makes zero difference.
That's
You know what
right.
I mean?
Yep.
Like it's not like cool if I add in trend, I'm automatically going to turn into C bum.
Right.
It does not matter. It's like just act like all of them are fake. You use them anyways.
Correct. Correct. And that's our parting words of wisdom.
Yeah,
That's the perfect spot to
exactly.
end. All right, guys. Episode 8. You heard it from him. Pretend all your drugs are fake and you'll grow like a weed. See you guys.
Sweet.